looking back, like how far we've come. We're coming up on like what, 8 years?
Yeah,
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 pretty
yeah.
soon. Eight
4 months were 8 years.
8 years.
Yep.
And like,
In this business.
yes, running the gym and your experiences, and talk about, your most recent trip,
Oh,
going
okay.
to Japan
Yeah.
and Thailand. This is not
Yep.
your first time going there.
Yep.
And, talk about your experiences there, what you've learned, what you've picked up, and bring it back here now, because now we're introducing Muay Thai, if anyone else want to come by.
Basics. Yeah.
So,
Yep.
talk about that experience, what happened with
Yeah. So it started actually 3 years ago, I think. So 2023, not this year. Yeah, 3 years ago, during the pandemic, actually.
Oh, I remember, yeah.
So, and I would read books. You're on the same page of this too, about when disaster happens. Warren Buffett, what was his quote?
The best time to get in the market is when nobody wants to get in.
Yes. And the best time to travel was during COVID.
Oh,
it sounds really dumb.
Because everyone was staying home.
It sounds really dumb. But it was counterintuitive to invest in education, in martial arts, because that's what it was. I was investing in myself through self-improvement and education. People were criticizing, you're this, or you're self whatever, and it was bad, right? At the time, vaccinated, not vaccinated, this, political left, right, whatever. But I would just dart forward, and I was just like, you know what? And Japan was closed at the time. A lot of countries were closed at the time, to international. But anyway, did some things, got my reinstated passport, all that stuff. I'm not gonna go into details, but basically I was able to go to Japan. And that was like the best time, because going to Japan now versus when there was a pandemic, everything was way cheaper. Flights were like pennies on the dollar. It's like investing.
During the pandemic?
During the pandemic, it's pennies on the dollar, because airlines still gotta make money.
That's true.
So they might as well fly somebody for cheap than not make money. And so that's like investing. But I saw it as investing in the self-improvement, self martial arts. I was like, all right, I'm a purple belt, and actually it was Jocko Willink. I would start watching his stuff. I was reading his books, but during the pandemic, you're home, and now I'm just consuming content. I was listening to his podcasts. I was like, this guy's right. Like, I gotta get back into martial arts. All the benefits, da da da. And I was like, you know what? I think it'd be a waste if I just quit jujitsu at purple belt. That's a waste. And so I started training and go to Japan. The first time I went to Tribe Tokyo MMA. Yeah, awesome guys, freaking hardcore, great for MMA. Head coach is Ryo Chonan. He's the guy that heel hooked Anderson Silva in Pride.
Oh, I remember that.
Yeah,
I remember.
So he's the guy. That's like his big, I mean, of course, UFC and stuff like that too. And then his main head jiu-jitsu coach is Shinya Aoki. Master of Flying Submissions, his nickname in Japanese. Beast. Learned so much about wall grappling, wall wrestling, MMA style jiu-jitsu, where that was the first time I experienced MMA style jiu-jitsu with strikes. And just trying to incorporate striking into takedown. It was the first time ever. And then, anyway, things fizzled out with that gym. And then we made it over to, it wasn't that far away, to Shinya Aoki's professor, who is Professor Yuki Nakai. Yeah. And so, but it was a totally different culture. He was more, obviously, a little bit more laid back, a little bit more like, I just like the culture. We got to go one day. Yeah. In Tokyo, the Padesoda HQ. Anyway, so I went to his professor and I was like, wow, this is like, I can be here. Yeah. And they would train super hard. I mean, killers, like national champs, all types of these world level jiu-jitsu, but super cool guys. I was like, dude, I think I can get better here. very welcoming. And then so I basically kept training there, and at the same time, there was a Muay Thai gym. His name is Ratachai. I'm sorry, not Ratachai. That's the current one in Thailand. Um, what was his name? Kru Chandet.
Oh.
Chandet.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So he was my first Muay Thai coach. You've probably seen the picture with the heavy bags in Tokyo. So he came from the upper part of countryside of Thailand. He's a Lumpini fighter. You know what Lumpini Stadium is?
No.
Dude. So in the Muay Thai world, it's probably a little bit different nowadays, but back in his era in the 80s and 90s, if you fought in the Lumpinis, that's like basically like worlds. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And he was like top level. He eventually fought in K1, Pride, all that stuff.
Wow.
Very well respected. 167 fights.
167.
167 fights.
What the heck?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was like, dude, I can learn some Muay Thai from this guy.
Oh.
So that was the first time I learned like legit Muay Thai.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, okay. Because before then I was learning like kickboxing. But I wasn't taught properly how to turn my hips or like it was more like boxing mixed with karate kicks, which is fine. It's fast, but not as much power. If that makes sense. And that's kind of what Japanese K1 kickboxing, from my understanding, was. It was Western boxing with karate style kicks, which is why K would stand for kickboxing, karate, da da da, whatever, and then number one or something like that. Maybe he could be wrong what he told me, my coach, but anyway, so that was awesome because I got to train with Kru Chandet, and I was like, dude, this is freaking awesome. Like I've never thrown an elbow and stuff like that, like how he was teaching me, you know. And I was like, dude, like this is deadly as hell for MMA. And then after, long story short, that was a 2-month stint in Japan.
Wow.
Yeah, but everything was cheap because of COVID. Dude, rent where I was staying, US dollars was like $10 a day.
What?
Yeah, you think about it. But that's because of the pandemic. Now it's like $1,000. I mean, not a day, but now it's like 10x.
Oh, it's like $100 a day.
Right. Now it's like 10x. But that's like the Warren Buffett thing. Like, if a stock is $100 and it drops to $10, would you buy it?
Yes, I'm buying 100 of those.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that's how I saw it, and I was like, dude, this is freaking genius. I mean, it wasn't good. Like, it sucked because Japan and stuff like that was, you have to wear a mask and stuff at the time, but it was so worth it. And then after that, now I felt like, okay, I feel a little bit more legit. I'm gonna start teaching, a little bit of jujitsu. Nothing serious. Because I was just like, all right, well, I'm just kind of getting back into like MMA style, getting back into the gi, and then basically the following year I go to Japan and I compete at the All Japan and do all this stuff, and and it was a great experience. And then I reconnected with my Muay Thai coach up there in Japan, and he was the one. He's like, you should go to the homeland because his where he's from, right? And he's like, you should go to my home country, if you're serious. And I was like, I mean, I am pretty serious about this. And he could feel the energy.
Yep.
Yeah, because this is before I fought. So I was like, I got to do this, And I think he could just feel that, like,
that fire.
Oh shit! Like, this guy's like not just training for fun or for fitness or fun. This guy's serious.
Yep.
And the reason why was to bring back more credibility home.
Oh yeah.
Right, because shout out to Riley Dutro and Boogeyman Muay Thai, because we had them in this podcast.
Yep.
Was it? Actually, yeah, it was the floor below.
Yep.
We had him, and super grateful because they were like, yeah, you should go after it. Go after what's your goals, your dreams, stuff like that, because you're gonna regret it if you don't. So major props to them, because that was one conversation. I was like, you know what? That's so true. This is years ago too. But anyway, so yeah, fast forward, got my brown belt, and now I'm like, all right, I'm gonna follow my coach's instructions, and because everything was still kind of closed,
Mm.
Flights and everything was like ridiculously cheap,
Mm.
even to go to Thailand, because Thailand just opened up.
Oh, after the
It
pandemic.
just opened up
Oh.
to like the tourists,
Uh-huh.
right? Because you needed like a special visa, working wise, but the tourism it just opened up. So, but flights were about to start getting expensive, so I was like, I gotta do it now. The
Oh.
timing was bad.
Mhm.
You know, we're still going through the pandemic. We got the cops called on us because we're not, wearing our masks properly or whatever. And so,
Oh,
like, it was not a good time for it. But there's never a good time to take action,
that's true.
right? Just like your fight.
Yeah.
Was that
Yeah,
ideal?
it was. I remember I was telling you I wanted to finish school first,
Yeah.
but I'm still in school and I'm taking a fight. I was like, you know what? Might as well. I'm not gonna get this time back, and I'm not gonna get any younger.
Yeah.
So
I said there's no perfect time, right?
yes.
So same like that, where I was like, you know what? It's just gonna get worse if I don't do it now. And then that was the trip, the 2 month trip in Thailand. That was last year,
Mm. Yep.
where I was training at Tiger Muay Thai and just following their curriculum.
Mm-hmm.
And shout out to Coach Leonidas.
Mm.
I don't even know his real name. We just call him Coach Leonidas. Yeah, he's a beast. And yeah, he was our head coach. I still consider him my head MMA coach, and great guy, just great training partners. Holy,
Oh yeah.
I mean, there was like some names at the time. This is when like who was training there? Peter Yan, Hamza, all these guys, and Darren Till, and I specifically remember Peter Yan was training for his fight with Sean O'Malley. Yeah. And I think I shared with you this story, but the story about him doing his conditioning, it was a Saturday.
Oh, I remember.
He was training super hard with the two other guys. And he would hop off. The two other guys are like flattened out, exhausted,
tired.
And he's walking around with his arms up, like breathing, catching his breath. Anyway, so I'm just observing and I'm like, dang, like that's very impressive. He has some crazy cardio. And then he's the first one to go grab the mop bucket. And then obviously the two guys like plop up and immediately go help him. And I was like, it's like little things like that. Dude, that's respect, bro.
Yes.
Like, dang.
The little things.
And he was ranked number 1 or 2 because he had just lost his title to the DQ to Aljamain Sterling with that down knee.
Yes.
This was right after that. So people still consider Peter Yan the champ.
Oh yeah.
Because it was an accidental knee to the head.
But he was winning that whole fight.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
when he was fighting O'Malley, or maybe it was one fight off, but basically when he was for the camp for O'Malley, that was really epic. Yeah, the energy was pretty crazy. Especially with Thailand just opening up, lots of good Russians. Man, like, and I kid you not, there was like dozens of people that looked like Islam and Habib
at Tiger Muay Thai.
Tiger, yeah. And I was just like, shaved head, and then that facial
the beard.
Yeah.
You must have had some crazy wrestling rounds,
dude. Crazy grappling rounds.
Because I remember when you came back, your wrestling was like, whoa.
It awakened
and your judo.
Yeah, because a lot of them were judo black belts.
Yes.
Right. Judo black belts and really good wrestlers, which I had to quickly learn really quickly. I was just like, I mean, because high school was a while ago, so I was like, wow, like I gotta get back to like, and it was so different.
Yeah.
Shooting a double leg for MMA, because for sport, wrestling, our knees, we penetrate step and our knees hit the mat, right, or in between. But for MMA, I can catch an uppercut depending on what rule set, 1FC. I can get knee in the head. And so we were being drilled. Even Shinya Aoki in Japan would tell me this, and then Tiger, they would say, shoot without your knee touching the ground.
Oh.
Right? So you're still changing levels, but you're not changing so low where you're susceptible to,
uppercuts, knees.
And then there's also more threat of guillotines if you go that low. Right? If you're going against a submission guy.
That's true.
So they would recommend like somewhere in the middle. And just like we're talking about like stances, like let's just say like your wrestling stance is different from judo, right? Wrestling, you're low, you're really low. Judo, you're really tall, right? Jiu-jitsu is in the middle somewhere. Striking, same thing. Boxing, you're a lot lower. Your weights in your lead
Yeah.
leg, right? Lead leg. Muay Thai, you're a little bit upright, maybe a 50-50 stance,
Mm-hmm.
right? And you're a little bit upright taller, so your kicks are quicker,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then you can check kicks.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, I mean that whole experience is awesome because at the same time, ADCC was starting to pop. Yeah, ADCC was popping, and there was a first ADCC happening in Thailand because they knew there were some killers
in Thailand,
dude. And there was the energy in that ADCC room. There were people from B Team. There were people of John Danaher students. There were I was like, oh
Killers.
my goodness. There was DJ Jackson from Team Lloyd Irvin.
Wow.
And I was like, these are like some legitimate killers, ONE FC champions. I mean, like just the who's who's. And I was like, this is gonna suck. But my training partners, and my coach was like, hey man, just do your thing.
Yep.
Just treat this. Just be yourself. Go compete how you train here. And it was a very aggressive training, right? There was no flow there. Russians don't flow. They're coming to grab your neck. They're like, the most common was the head and arm, right? Because from wrestling.
Yeah.
So they hunt head and arm a lot, and so it's very aggressive, and I like that. And yeah, and then long story short, I did all right at ADCC, and I was just like this. It was an amazing experience.
Yeah.
Amazing, lots to learn. And lots of mistakes, lots to learn, and it was really eye-opening because I was just like, wow, there is like levels to this thing.
Yep.
And then within 24 hours, Jojo, Leonide, MMA coach, Tiger.
Oh, this is after the ADCC.
24 hours after. Looking for two Japanese, or no, was it Japanese or Asian fighters? But gotta have Asian passports.
Oh.
And I had my Japanese passport.
Oh.
So I went with my boy Kenshiro.
Yes.
Right?
Yep.
And so you probably seen the pictures at the time last year.
I think you followed me on Instagram.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At the time, right? Because we just met. Maybe no, yeah. And then so so Tiger Muay Thai is in Phuket, and we go all the way to Pattaya or Bangkok. We fly to Bangkok, and we drive to Pattaya, where the hotel and the fight was. This is the first time I was like, dude, this is great. They're paying for a flight, they're paying for a hotel, they're paying for our meals. Like, this is like legit, you know. And this was like the Asian National Amateur Championships or whatever. And so I knew it was gonna be good guys. I was like, fuck, I gotta do this. Like, might as well now. I'm all bust up and whatever, and I'm like burnt out from ADCC. And we said, screw it. There's a lot that happened behind the scenes, and I'm not gonna go into it because it is what it is. But it worked out. It was a good experience. That fight was really good. I think the guy was from. He spoke Russian, but I'm not sure. It was God, I don't want to get this wrong because it's very disrespectful.
Somewhere from Russia.
Former Soviet Union country. Yeah, I forget. Oh my gosh, I don't want to butcher this. So yeah, anyway, we can look it up later. Yeah. But great guy, and I remember the head coach after the fight. He's just hardcore, like old, like I don't want to say Russian, but kind of Russian looking guy. And he just like. He was very intimidating at first, but after the fight, it was all like love and respect. And I was like, dang.
Yeah.
So lots of respect, and that was good. So that was last year, and then we brought that home, right? Because then I was like, now let's have you guys fight MMA, right? And then we started incorporating a lot more like wall wrestling, which we never did before. And then even like our jiu-jitsu, we'd mix up a lot more wrestling grips. Right?
And striking with jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, we never did that before. Right? Power Nelsons, all this kind of, power, like all these different ways to pin for MMA. The emphasis on half guard and stuff like that, staying on top. Anyway, so that was my primary goal, to do it and then bring it
Bring
home.
it back for the
Yeah.
team.
Yep.
All for the team.
And so that's always been my intention. Because initially, people, they might misunderstand it as like, whatever, right?
Mhm.
You're crazy. You don't know what you're doing. You're leaving your team behind. You're doing this. But our team knew, especially after the first one, they're like, oh no, he's doing it so he can bring this home.
Mhm.
And then we all start leveling up together in jujitsu and stuff. And and long story short too, even this last one, I know I had two main Muay Thai coaches, and it was just really interesting because this was the first time I legitimately felt confident in just striking
Mm.
because I didn't train any jujitsu for almost 2 months.
Oh, when you were in
Yeah,
Thailand.
because the last week I was there was when I went back to Tiger, and
Oh.
that gi picture with
Mhm.
the my
Yep.
coaches. That was the first time I put the gi on
In
in
a
two
long time.
months.
Wow.
Yeah, and so and that's why I was like, oh, okay, well I better But that was the first time I just did only striking for
Mhm.
that condensed period of time, and it was incredible. Because I was spending a lot of my time at this gym called Yod Yut. I think it's
Mm.
pronounced Yod Yut. It's my shorts,
Mhm.
the shorts, the
Yep.
white, light and light blue one, and that was a fighter's gym, and it was like
Wow.
almost everybody fought in there. It was like a small slash medium sized gym, nothing crazy.
Mhm.
It was a fighter's gym,
Yeah.
and because it was a fighter's gym, the program was grueling. Right,
Mm.
all fighters would run, I think it was 10 kilometers every morning,
Every morning.
every morning, and then you run another 5 in the evening. So you're running 15K a day.
Jeez.
Yeah. So you have to take a nap.
Uh-huh.
You have to take a nap in the midday. There's no way around
Yep.
it. So the training was basically you run because the Thais say no run, no fight.
Oh.
Yeah, no run, no fight, no questions. I said, oh, okay, makes sense. And then they also say no check, you die.
Oh, yep.
No check, you die. Because I first came a little bit more boxing heavy,
Mhm.
and they're like, no check, you die. I was like, oh yeah, I understand. I don't want my ribs get
Yes.
blasted in and my
Your
legs too.
legs.
Yep. I remember getting literally like dropped really bad with one of the leg kicks the second day. I was like, and this was shin pads. I was like,
Wow.
oh, you literally just lose all sensation and
Yep.
you just drop. I mean, I've been kicked legs like a lot just in MMA and stuff, but like a legitimate
Muay
like
Thai.
over the leg because I was defending a little bit like too much boxing,
Mhm.
and I know I had my weight in the anyway. So that made me realize like I gotta learn fast,
Mm.
and it was pretty exhausting. The first week with the climbing and everything, I was like, oh man, this is exhausting because you're already exhausted after running and warm ups and drilling,
Mm.
and then you would do X amount of bag work, and you cannot slack on the bags.
Mm.
Anytime you go slight, crack the whip.
Oh.
Um, and then you're doing I forget handful of rounds of pad work, and then you spar 4 rounds,
Oh.
and you do the same thing in the evening. So you're sparring 8 rounds a day.
Is this light sparring or is this?
Depending on the person.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
But
Oh.
but
Okay.
most of the time it's not like hard spar where you're like
Uh-huh.
knocking your head off.
Oh,
Right?
okay. It's more fast paced.
Yeah, I would say like out of the 8 rounds, maybe one is like a little bit harder,
Oh, okay.
but the rest is more like tech,
Uh-huh.
playful. Some are a little bit quicker, but just hold
Oh,
their punch
okay.
pad like bang, 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 low kick, stuff
Uh-huh.
like that. But without the juice, because
Oh,
we're doing
okay.
so many rounds, right?
Yep.
Because that's you times that by 6. I don't know, 8,
Mm.
whatever that math is.
Yep.
It's a lot of just moving around, different looks, and honestly, I'm super grateful for them because of them. Like I actually felt pretty good about it. I was like, dude, this is the first time I'm doing like a full time,
Yeah.
just a Muay Thai training
That's
camp.
true.
Because before that, it was more, you know, overall striking, or like I would do boxing on this day, jiu-jitsu on this day, wrestling this day, and then a couple days a week where you mix it all up, and then strength and conditioning here and there. But this is the first time, and I don't know if I remember at that time I legitimately thought this Muay Thai training schedule was harder than MMA at one point. But at the same time, I don't know if that was just because I forgot how hard MMA was.
Yeah.
Because the wrestling part of MMA sucks in the sense of like grind, right? But I would say it's on par because of all the running. Because you're running like 15K every day.
Jeez.
And there's no question you have to run. There's no such thing as overtraining. I was like, all right, you just recover.
Wow.
They believe in under recovery.
Wow.
So, which, Americans too, it's more like leaning toward under recovery, meaning like just sleep more, eat more calories, get more water, take a nap if you need to. And I was napping every day. I had to. Like after the morning, you're like so exhausted, you can't do anything.
Yeah. Right after breakfast, you just take a nap.
You just boom, you just pass out, and I'm just like, wow, we get to do it all over again.
Yeah.
So I'm very grateful. There's some good trainers, good coaches, and then after a while they start showing me like some fun stuff, and I was like, oh, okay. So after the basics, they're like, oh, try this like jumping elbow or whatever, spinning back fist, whatever, and we start drilling that just for fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it was just unbelievable. Just the culture, getting used to the food, the routine, the training.
Basically living like a pro.
Pretty much, yeah. Well, amongst them, yeah. They were all like high level pros that got paid. That was their living.
Yeah.
And early fighter pros, you don't make that much. You make like $30 to $100 US dollars, yeah. But in Thailand, that's not bad.
Yeah.
Because it's like in Thai currency, it's like a few thousand baht, Thai baht. Kind of like Filipino pesos.
Yeah.
I don't know
Just
the
like
exact.
pesos.
I don't know the exact conversion, but it's kind of like that.
Yeah.
A few thousand pesos is probably like $100 or something like that. So that was a norm. But some of the good guys were earning like 5 to 10 times that.
Wow.
Per fight. And I was like, oh, no wonder they fight every month.
That's true.
Yeah,
you gotta make a living.
That makes sense. Yeah, they make money every month. Yeah, that was incredible. And I even in training, I'm like, man, there are levels to this freaking thing.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Yeah, it was very eye-opening. It was very humbling. And it was like, shit, you got to be humble or you're going to get humbled really fast. Like,
I agree.
I mean, in all combat sports, right? Jiu-jitsu, judo, wrestling, boxing, Muay Thai. And I think that was the first time I genuinely started thinking like, wow, this is actually really awesome. Like, because after the first week, you're just burnt out. You're borderline like puking and whatnot. Your body is whatever. By the second or third week, I was like, you know what? I think I'm getting used to.
Yeah.
And then that one day off on Sunday, bro, you're just vegged out, sleeping all day.
Yes.
You don't even have energy to do anything.
Yes.
And then the Thais would joke, my coach would joke, no boom boom, yeah. And I was like, boom boom. They're like boom boom, boom boom. No lady boys, I was like, lady boys.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's a whole nother topic. But I was like, no, I'm tired as hell. Like, I don't have any energy besides like just washing my clothes, eating food, sleeping, and maybe like literally like just lying down and watching something and then sleep again and
recovery.
Repeat. Yeah.